Assetto Corsa has received an important graphical boost. We have been receiving incremental updates over the course of the last couple of years since the last release of PR, but I think this one is a very important step towards the future of Assetto Corsa, depending if it's going to continue with Assetto Corsa 2, because it addresses what I think it was a big shortcoming in the current generation of graphical mods in Assetto Corsa Competizione, which was the sky and the sun. This is the video that Peter uses to showcase the change. So in this version, the sun doesn't have any power. It's in front of you, but you don't really have any real glare. And this is with the update, the sun in front of you, and you get basically blinded. Of course, all of these things are modifiable and configurable. We're gonna jump to Gran Turismo 7. Don't kill me, but I want to show why this is important for me. Now, what Pure does is correct a lot of things with the auto exposure since the start, but now one effect that is really important for me, and I always try to go towards photorealism, is this effect we see in Gran Turismo 7. You know, the sun is in front of your eyes, it blinds you, all the highlights destroy the colors, the contrast gets blown out of proportion, it's very hard to actually see something well, the colors aren't really there, the saturation changes, and all of that. I look for photorealism, not in a way that the colors are overly saturated. I look towards post-processing filters and adapting my view or adapting the games in the way that I view outside. And Gran Turismo 7 thus far is the game that does best for me, even though I had to change the exposure, the automatic exposure of this game a little bit. And I think in terms of color representation, it's still a little bit too saturated, but it does a job really well, especially in terms of light. And light is extremely important. Dropping into Union Island to show you how wonderful is this update. We are using the new Pure setup with the new custom shaders patch and also natural mods, but I had to do a small tweak inside the mods. I'll show you in a second, to increase the exposure just a little bit to 140%, so we can have these looks. We have, for me, in my eyes, almost perfect saturation, almost perfect contrast, and we have almost perfect representation of light. We have to remember, this is a 10-year-old game, and they are working on top of a game engine that is not open to everybody. They are essentially doing juju magic, black magic, on top of it to provide something that this game was never made to do, to have day and night cycle, to have rain, and we'll show you rain and how it looks, but also to do this thing now. You go towards the sun, and all of this is customizable. You go towards the sun, just like happens in real life, and you need polarizing glasses. It just looks the part. The sun is lower, so we have a little more color in the grass. It's a little more green. But of course, when you look towards the sun, the highlights blind you, and this didn't really happen before, and this is why I'm so excited about this update. I haven't touched a lot in graphical mods because essentially I think they reached a peak, and now we have a new peak. We have a peak that we can play around with the sun a little bit in terms of how big it can be, how much the glare can be, and how much the highlights can drop off. So essentially creating something that is closer to photorealism. I think a lot of the photorealism graphics that appear nowadays aren't really photorealism. They are beautiful indeed, they have wonderful colors, but it really isn't that way that our eyes work. They tend to have they are oversaturated, the light is way too controlled, it feels like a photo shoot instead of how the light works. So what I did for the post-processing filter is something really simple. Go to your post-processing filter, just extend this, select your post-processing filter, press right-click and press edit. In my case, I increased the brightness to 140%, thereabouts. I think this is way too dim. So if you increase the brightness a little bit, it increases the light that essentially you see. One thing that you can also do, and I think the natural shaders mods does it really well, is decrease the saturation. You can decrease the saturation even to 95%, 96%, and it works extremely well. Using the new Pure Planner tool, we can see the way that the day is set. So the black part is, of course, the night. These parts are the day. The brighter it is, of course, the closer it is to noon. And then we have these parts over here between the black and between the day, which is sunset. And we also have a little bit of blue hour. So let's go to the blue hour and see how it works. In this case, it is very red, very beautiful. Probably needs a little bit of adaptation. Could be a little bit regarding to the map. And now we have the blue hour. Sunset, we see that beautiful, beautiful horizon that is very, very red. And you also see the drop off in colors from those yellows and reds into pinks and blues. But we also need to try pitch dark, which will be around here. And now you see that it gets really, really dark. We only have the headlights to help us out. Of course, even the headlights can be adjusted. And we want to go towards the town to see how the town works at night. As we approach the town, we see that there's a big difference in light from the dark areas into the main roads. The main road has all the concentrated light and everything else seems pitch dark. It looks pretty much the part. And then we also have this beautiful church over here with the blue lights. And for me, it is convincing, probably a little bit too bright, but you know, everything can be customizable, so you can essentially do everything with the lights. But as it is, as of this moment, for me, in this setup, it is beautiful. Inside the runway, it is an eerie look, basically pitch dark with just a little bit of lights. Pure works wonderfully. A track like Shotoko is going to be used a lot, of course not during the day, but it still shows some of the things that are working. The headlights are working a little bit differently now. It seems to not be so bright. Everything, once again, is customizable. We can see at the top there is a moon, and that moon will have, you know, stellar simulation go up and down, and something that was already added. But we are here now to try the new weather. So let's go to the Pure Planner, and we're gonna change the weather, let's say, to heavy thunderstorm. Rain doesn't come with Pure or Sol. It comes with custom shaders patch. You have to pay that separately. And with that weather simulation, we also have new physics, or the physics have been improved for the night. But the way that graphically all of this works with Pure, custom shaders patch, the advancements in the track, the advancements in the physics, the tires, and everything. This is, for me, magical. This is as close to Drive Club as we are gonna be for a while in terms of how the rain works. And you know, for once again a 10-year-old game that has been propped up by a bunch of modders over the last few years, and to see something like this, and it's still not finished. We don't see a lot of the thunderstorms. I don't think the thunderstorms are working correctly. Sometimes you can hear the thunder, but you don't see the thunder. For that, you need Salt, not Pure. Now, we're going over, you know, we're going over these puddles, and you feel the force feedback changing. Man, this is something fascinating. A game that is completely being propped up by the community. 10 years later, 5 years later, since this game has been out of support. The last one was in 2019, I believe, with the last update of the game before Assetto Corsa Competizione came out. And with the game that wasn't supposed to be like this, to look this good, to work this well with plenty of new systems, it is something fascinating. In terms of color reproduction, once again, with natural shaders mods, everything looks exceptional. So we're the same thunderstorm during midday. The last point I would like to raise is auto exposure. It exists, but it's still not as strong as Gran Turismo. It's not as drastic. You go inside and outside tunnels, and you really don't get blinded, at least not in the post-processing filters that I use or in the pure post-processing filters. Your eyes tend to take a little bit to adjust, but that's basically it. It's really subtle, and if the effect is there, it's basically the same as not being there whatsoever. As we go inside, yeah, it's a little bit darker now. It has a little more resolution, but that's basically it. While I don't think this update is game-changing or revolutionary for Assetto Corsa graphical modding, what I think it does is creates a structure for new mods to come in and change completely the way that Assetto Corsa looks. I thought that Assetto Corsa had reached a limit of the visual fidelity that could be built. Once again, after all, this is being maintained by modders. With this new update, well, we have a new ceiling, and I'm very excited to see what comes out of this.